Welcome to the AusGel podcast, where we bring the gel ball community together. Each week we have a special guest where we talk about what's new in the world of gel ball, be it milsim, speedball, and everything in between. Now, welcome to our host. Hi, I'm Dan from AusGel.
And g'day, I'm Darren from the Bunker in SA.
And today we're going to have a chat to one of the great industry influencers from South Australia. Darren, mate, thank you so much for joining us in this podcast today. Can we start off by you telling us a little bit about your journey into the world of gel ball?
Yeah, mate, just started out skirmishing, I suppose, like everyone does. Got hooked pretty quick.
Yeah.
I come into the industry pretty fast, I suppose. Most people sort of didn't know who I was, so it was all a matter of COVID hit, looking for something to do, and thought, yeah, let's do it, open a field, and that was pretty much where it all started from there. So, yeah, it was all pretty quick, really.
Yeah. All right.
Something I've been thinking about for a little while.
Yeah. Sorry, say that again?
It's something I had been thinking about for a little while, but when COVID hit, it just gave us the opportunity to jump forward with it and have a crack and dive in.
Oh, it's good. So you turned COVID into a positive. That's really good. Yeah.
In
All
one
right.
way, yeah.
Yeah. That's it. Well, as positive as it can possibly be. But, mate, Darren, you're one of the few remaining gel ball fields down there in South Australia. That is where you're based, yeah? South Australia?
Yeah, correct.
And,
yeah.
and mate, after the horrendous over-regulation of gel blasters in your state, it must be tough as a gel blaster business owner.
Yeah, when the night hit, it was pretty full on because it all just hit at 8 o'clock in the morning, where it came out of nowhere. We'd only been running 3 weeks at that stage, 3.5 weeks, I think, we'd been open. So, yeah, it was all just bang, hit. We all went out that night, everyone came down. We played till I think just before midnight, as long as we possibly could, till their horrendous new laws came in. Pretty much shut down for a month. A lot of the guys supported us. They came out and played Nerf just so we could keep the field open while we got our licensing and registration. Luckily, I'm already a shooter, so I already had all my licenses and my paintball license anyway. So
Excellent.
That made getting my field done a lot quicker, I suppose you could say, in that sense. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, myself and Paul out at Battle for Waterloo were probably the first two to get going, and now Mega Courts as well. So there's three of us operational. And there's still a couple of paintball fields that offer skirmish as well, which have done both over the years. So, yeah, it's getting back there slowly.
Yeah, that's good. It's good to see that you're still battling along there. And mate, you know, it must be so hard on business owners down there. I mean, I've seen at least 50 businesses have been closed, livelihoods for all of them. All of their suppliers have been affected as well. I mean, what are your thoughts on general in the situation down there?
Yeah, it's disgusting what the Marshall government have done without going too much into politics on here, but it's definitely a government-driven thing and by the commissioner himself. So, end of the day, we all know about the court case. They've now adjourned that. They're trying to get 8 weeks, I think. Last I heard from Chris. So we'll see where that rolls. A lot of people were waiting on that, and we kind of figured they'd adjourn it anyway. It was sort of in the back of my mind, knowing how this works. So, yeah, it's definitely been hard. We didn't have a lot of fields here anyway. Like there was, a number of fields, a couple down south. A couple have gone and not come back at this stage. Yeah. And we lost a couple out in the country. But certainly, it definitely was hard to get it back going again and keep it going. But I suppose the retail sector was hit the hardest with the loss of, TAC Edge, M4A1, a number of shops, Nick's shop in town closing, Port Lincoln, Mount Gambier, licenses to bring blasters in was shut down months and months before. So, yeah, it was very underhanded. It was deceitful. There was no real consultation with business on the process. So it just
not really well thought through either. I mean, what's happened down there. I mean, it's led to a loss of jobs. It's led to the loss of ability for a lot of people to participate in a hobby that was keeping them occupied and away from doing bad things. and and the livelihoods of so many businesses, of course. I mean, there's just so many positives, and I mean the economic growth that we've been able to experience in our industry up here in Queensland. We know how big the industry is, and to consider that South Australia have taken this path, or the Marshall government more specifically, have taken this path, it just blows my mind. I mean, I'm speechless. Whenever I speak to you guys down there about this, absolutely speechless. But, you did mention the court case, though. How do you see that playing out?
I'd like to be optimistic, but knowing how court works and how the government will end up, we may win a battle. Whether we win the war is probably the big one. It's just something I don't really know how it'll play out in the long run. I don't think none of us do. They're adjourning it. Their case of compressed air that went to court, now that's their reason for wanting to adjourn it, to prepare it. So if they could shut down an industry with that particular, case or cause being compressed air, then how can they then come to a court case 6 months later and it not be a valid point to present their case now? So there's a lot to be answered for. They're trying to push through. They sent letters out. I think I was one of the only ones that got one from what we've worked out so far about what they plan to change the laws. And they're going to try and rush that through Parliament before. So we've got a petition going up now to try and get through Parliament. We're just and I know probably by the time this goes down, it'll be later, but for people to really just hit the government now. And
so what can people do to help you specifically down there?
The biggest thing now is email your politicians, let them know that you're not happy about it. We got an election in 1 year.
Yep.
And Marshall needs to know how big we really are, and that, what can happen if they, the numbers are what they care about. They care about their election bottom line. So if there's a threat to that, then so be it. We're pushing with other parties to try and support us. Lib Democrats are a big one on side, but they've still got to get members up to get into Parliament yet. So it's a bit of a push. We just got to get rid of the Marshall government, I think.
Yeah. All right. So the Marshall government, that's who you guys perceive to be the main issue at the moment.
Oh, absolutely. Because even whatever the police do, they're going to still come back to the government. The government's trying to push this through now anyway. So they'll change the law, which will make our argument mute. So when the court case goes back, they're hoping to just try and shut it down basically through changing the laws before we get an opportunity. So when they sit again, that's when that happens. So when you look at what happens in Queensland and the way your police department have hopped on board and worked with you and everything else, and the way it's gone down here, it's hard to believe we all live in the same country.
Yeah, I mean they've set a good standard up here, and realistically, I think it's a really good example for other states to follow. I mean, it's working for everyone up here, and we have additional jobs. There's massive revenue for the state. It's great. But mate, look, let's switch the focus now. So our thoughts are with everyone down in South Australia during these hard times for you guys in the gel ball industry. But let's switch focus to the Australian Gel Blaster League now. Now, I've noticed you're wearing a jersey at the moment that seems to be split in half. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's the done by Fire, as you guys all know Dan up there very well.
Yeah.
Damien and him sort of sat down, and who's the captain of the cartel.
Yep.
And discussed the idea of a supporter jersey, and I think this is pretty much what Fire came up with, which is half Crimson Raiders and half Gel Cartels jerseys.
Yep.
And we got a big joint arms on the back and Team SA on the top, and we've sold them, and some of the proceeds Fire put towards helping the boys get up to Queensland.
Nice. So that's like the South Australian jersey, essentially.
Yep.
That people can support the team with. Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, really good initiative there. And, it's going to be great.
Got them all yesterday.
Oh, good stuff. I think by the time that people at home are watching this podcast or listening to this podcast on the way to work, the AGBL Nationals may have already finished. So, here's hoping that you guys do quite well, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all up here. And, mate, look, with the Australian Gel Blaster League as well, by now everyone probably knows that, the the main award there has actually been sponsored by the police minister up here in Queensland. So so that's something that's really exciting. And I can say this now, technically at the time that this is being recorded, not many people know about that. So, so yeah, this is going to be a really good thing for us. Now, Darren, how has COVID-19 further changed the way that you operate as a business in South Australia?
We did have a couple of weeks where we got shut down back in December, which was pretty sad because it was the same day I just got all my licenses done.
Yep.
So it essentially been closed for about a month and a half, and we opened that morning. I just spent hundreds of dollars a week before paying for licenses and register and blasters for hire.
Yep.
And we opened on the Tuesday, and on the 6 o'clock news, there was a thing saying that all the sports centres had to close down for 2 weeks due to a COVID outbreak. So we got one night in for another 2 weeks. But
yeah,
since then it's been all right. Our capacity is good. It's ridiculous, actually. We've got a 500 square metre building.
Yep.
We can have now even more than 250 people in there. But again, we have 30, 40 people in at a time with, the teams competing. So distance, and it hasn't affected us too much. We've been lucky, and South Australia's missed a lot of it anyway, which has been good.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a bonus. And your field looks really good. I like how you've gone with that Speed QB style format there. The bunkers look absolutely amazing, and as does the rest of the field. I mean, it's a really good setup, and great to see another speedball option down there in South Australia. So that's great. All right, well, Darren, look.
Just one thing.
Yep.
One thing. We did put an invitation out to the boys in Queensland. We'd like to maybe get a few teams down for a mid-year competition or something with a few Queensland guys. So
interesting.
The offer's out there now. I think Grave Diggers did put their hand up, and I have heard a little whisper maybe Valhallas were interested. So,
well, there you go, guys. So have a listen to this. So if you're going to step up to the challenge here by the South Australians, they want to see Queensland teams down there competing in a tournament in South Australia later on this year. So let's hope that gets a little bit of traction. And hey, I might even come down and have a bit of a squiz and cheer the teams on. You never know. But but Darren, mate, look, thank you so much for joining us today. Greatly appreciate your time. And, I know you're having a rough time down there, so I appreciate you taking time out of your day to do this podcast. But can you tell us a little bit more about how we can learn more about Bunker CQB?
We're on Facebook. So we're trying to grow it. We're actually going to incorporate a few. CQB is a bit of a specialised thing we're finding, so we need to sort of attract a few more people in. So we do a few things like Nerf kids parties. We'd run some RC days on Saturday for indoor drifting for RC guys.
Cool.
But certainly we're going to look at incorporating a bit more CQB with a few more game modes to for guys that like that style of play with a more of a CQB feel inside the field, make it a bit more technical, etc. So.
Good to know, mate. Good to know.
We're on. Yeah, there's only three of us down here now. Megacourt's me and Bunker, and obviously Battle for Waterloo. So Paul's been doing it tough as well. He's had to cancel a few events because of numbers. So all I can say to guys is get out, support your fields. We're doing what we can to keep it all alive, and be good to see us down there.
Excellent. All right. And guys, as always, I'm Dan from Ozgel. You can find Ozgel at www.ozgel.com.au. We're also on Facebook and Instagram under Ozgel and Ozgel Ammo. Thanks very much for watching. See you later.
See ya. Thanks.
Thanks for tuning into our podcast. It means a lot to us. If you enjoyed today's podcast, leave a comment or review below and hit the follow or subscribe button. If you have any questions or want to be part of a future episode or even want to know more about Ozgel, head to ozgel.com.au to get in touch.